Shanghai is a sprawling landscape of steel and glass, where Mei Lin worked to support her family. She was a typical employee at a local toy shop, known for a sweet disposition and a genuine love for her work. Like many collectors, Mei Lin took advantage of her employee discount at shops like this one to build a massive collection of dolls. When the latest shipment of the popular Labubu line arrived, she set one aside for herself before the shelves were even stocked. This specific doll was a limited edition golden variant. Look at the mouth. It features a wide, jagged grin with prominent teeth and star-shaped patterns in the eyes. While other collectors saw a cute aesthetic, Mei Lin brought something home she didn't fully understand. She introduced the new addition to her dog, Bao. Usually, Bao was the first to play with her new dolls, but his reaction to the golden Labubu was different. Often, these events don't start with an ancient relic found in a tomb. They begin with a mass-produced object brought willingly into the home. It's a quiet invitation that bypasses natural defenses because the object looks harmless. Bao's playfulness vanished instantly. He began growling at the air around the doll and eventually grabbed Melon's jeans, frantically trying to pull her away from the shelf where she'd placed it. There is a biological reason for this reaction. This chart compares human to canine sensory ranges. Notice how the dog's perception overlaps this pulsing band, allowing them to detect a presence long before a human can. Melon just assumed her dog was being territorial. She scolded him and locked him in the bathroom for the night, heading to bed and leaving the doll alone in the dark. When a pet focuses this much aggression on a single inanimate object, it's a warning. By dismissing Bao's instincts, Melon missed the window to remove the object before the entity could establish a foothold in her apartment. The next morning, Melon's personality shifted. At work, she became uncharacteristically hostile, eventually erupting in a scream at a customer over a minor question. Her manager fired her immediately. This map shows how an entity begins to systematically isolate its host. By engineering the loss of a job or a conflict with friends, the entity severs the victim's support nodes. As these connections vanish, the host becomes increasingly vulnerable. Melon returned home broken and confused by her own behavior. With her livelihood gone and her confidence shaken, her emotional state was at its lowest point. These sudden strings of misfortune are rarely a coincidence. They are deliberate attacks on the victim's stability, designed to weaken their resolve before the next stage of the encounter. That night, the haunting turned physical. Melon heard a wet, guttural laugh in the corner of her room, followed by a nightmare of a rotting figure with long, hooked claws standing over her bed. She woke up with a start, only to find the golden Labubu sitting directly on her chest. It had moved from the shelf across the room while she slept. Bao burst out of the bathroom and lunged, tearing the doll into pieces. Melon watched him shred the gold fur and stuffing before she gathered the remains and threw them in the trash, believing the nightmare was over. This feeling of relief is a trap. Destroying the physical vessel often tricks the victim into thinking the threat is gone. In reality, the entity is simply shedding its shell to manifest in a more direct way. Melon woke the next day with a severe headache and found small red bite marks covering her arms and neck. The pain was sharp and persistent. In the bathroom mirror, she saw the same rotting figure from her dream laughing over her shoulder. But when she turned around, there was no demon, only the golden Labubu, sitting on the counter, perfectly intact. She ran through the house, calling for Bao, but the apartment was silent. Under the kitchen sink, she found a trail of blood. Bao was gone, his body discarded in the shadows. When the marks appear on the skin and the household protector is killed, the situation has reached a point of no return. The entity has moved beyond the doll and claimed the apartment itself. Mei Lin began searching the internet for similar cases. She found reports from other owners who described an identical pattern: sudden job loss, an unexplained physical illness, and the death of their pets. Researchers have noted a pattern mirroring a much older threat. This bronze figurine depicts Pazuzu, an ancient Mesopotamian demon. Historically feared for bringing ruin around sudden famines, This entity now targets a victim's financial stability and physical health until they are left with nothing. In a final act of desperation, Mei Lin burned the doll and threw the ashes into the river, hoping the fire would purify her home. But burning a cursed object is often the worst thing a victim can do. It doesn't destroy the presence, it simply destroys the vessel that was containing it, releasing that energy into the room. Melon called her sister, telling her the doll was gone and she finally felt at peace. The next morning, her body was discovered by the local police. Sitting on the floor next to her was the golden Labubu. Despite being burned and thrown into the river, it was pristine. A friend from the toy shop, unaware of what had happened, found the doll and took it home. The cycle was ready to begin again. Watch for these signs in your own life: a pet's sudden fear, an unexplained shift in your luck, or a feeling of relief that feels too easy. Evil often hides behind a smile that seems too bright to be dangerous.